Secret of the Mimic. What could the Mimic be hiding? Yeah, fuck Pandora. Who cares about her secret? We're all about the Mimic's secrets now. So get ready, clench your butt cheeks, cause you know damn well the Mimic may be ripping into those, all Terrifier style. And let's go over our top 5 predictions for this new FNAF game. Starting off with number 5, Bronwyn Light. That's right, the Week Before ambassador is back. And if y'all been following the channel, y'all may know that we've talked a fair share about the FNAF Week Before book. From some extra lore tidbits from the Bite of 83 to the reveal of Cassidy's last name, we've pretty much solved it all, except for one thing, the character of Bronwen Light. Who the fuck is she, and why is she in the story? She is such an odd character, and there are a few things about her, like specifically her relationship with her mother, that are described to an odd degree. Like usually this stuff wouldn't matter, unless if it's trying to set up something for a future game. You see where I'm going? As it's well established at this point, the Secret of the Mimic will be taking place in 1979. By far the earliest game in the timeline. Just early enough to possibly star the mother of Bronwyn Light. Or at least give us some extra lore information about those two characters. Considering that the Week Before book probably only takes place a few decades ahead of Secret of the Mimic. But who knows, I just thought it was interesting that Bronwyn Light and her mother are characters only introduced now of all times, and would definitely still be alive at the time Secret of the Mimic takes place. But speaking of these two people, by the way, leads me to my second prediction. Number 4. Other humans. I'm only human after all. I'm only human after. One of the biggest differences on how Scott Cawthon and Steelwool handle the FNAF games is that Steelwool actually puts humans in their games. Scott Cawthon always used to find little cheeky ways to avoid actually having the model of any human characters in his games, which probably was for a good reason. Steelwool have definitely seemed to find their own little art style with how the humans in FNAF look, which oddly enough kind of looks like the human designs in like the FNAF songs and stuff with Michael Afton and shit, which is honestly probably the best way they could have handled it. And it makes sense why they do it. As the story of the lore progresses, limiting yourself to not having any human models or designs in your games is really limiting the way you can tell the rest of your story. But considering that Steelwool are the main developers behind Secret of the Mimic, then it's pretty safe to assume that we may get 1 or 2 new human models in the game. Except hold up, wait a minute. Whose human models will we be getting? 1979, the year this game takes place, not only will Henry Emily be alive, but also Willam Afton. Let that sink in. There is a chance that we will literally see the human designs of William, Henry, or any of their family members. Honestly, I would love to see Henry or William make a little cameo, but if they do, I would not want to see their face. I feel like a big part of what makes the old FNAF lore so personal feeling to a lot of fans is the amount of it that is left up to interpretation. And although it would be so cool to actually see their faces, I feel like to some extent revealing the man behind the legend may ruin a bit of the fun. Take Avatar: The Last Airbender as an example. Fire Lord Ozai leaves such an impact on the viewer because of his looming presence that he has. The looming presence that he only accomplishes because of the way his face is sort of hidden in the shadows during the first 2 seasons. If Steelwool ends up adding William, Henry, or any of the Afton family for that matter, I really do feel like it would be best to sort of hide their face in a camera angle, or sort of just have their body in the shadows so you can't really see or make out how they look. But nonetheless, I'm sure I'll be excited for this game either way. Moving on to number 3. Costumes. We did it, guys. We solved the Secret of the Mimic. His secret is that he's secretly a furry. Just look at the way he's rocking this lion costume at the end of Ruin. But seriously, at the end of Ruin, we do seem to see some costumes that he does end up wearing. And during PAX West, we saw a lot of different posters showing off presumably a lot of different character designs that we'll be seeing in Secret of the Mimic. And I don't know about y'all, but these character designs don't really scream out animatronic to me. What if these are the costumes that the Mimic can wear? There really isn't any reason for any other killer animatronics to exist yet in 1979. So that probably means that the Mimic will be the only threat during this game. And wouldn't it be a fun way to sort of mix up the design by having the Mimic continuously switch in and out of different costumes while chasing you? I also heard something about this. I don't know if it was during Daco's video when he was describing how it was like playing the game, or if it was like somebody else's theory that that they proposed. I'm not too sure where I've heard this and whether it's official or not, but nonetheless, there's definitely some amount of costume involvement in this new game. But I'm telling all you now, the big secret at the end, the secret's gonna be that the Mimic is a giant furry. He was the first furry. The first furry. Sounds like a horror movie title. Number 2, I don't have exactly a word to condense down this topic into, so instead I'm just calling this one, are the books fucking canon or not? Now personally, I've always believed that the books are only a parallel to the FNAF games, and although we can use them to solve a bit of the lore of the games, it's still a completely separate continuity. But there's a lot of y'all that don't think that. In fact, I'm sure half of y'all probably are going to the comments right now to tell me to demonetize myself. But one thing's for damn sure, after this game releases, there will be no question whether or not the Tales from the Pizzaplex are canon, because Tales from the Pizzaplex very clearly has an origin story for the Mimic involving the character of Edwin, and there are some people out there, I'm pretty sure Hyperjoy does believe that Edwin is an actual character in the FNAF games who did create the Mimic. But I honestly beg to differ, because just like how the Mimic was first name dropped in Tales from the Pizzaplex, Willam Afton was first name dropped in the Silver Eyes. Yet that does not mean that the Silver Eyes are canon to the game's timeline. So there's really no reason yet to definitively say that the Tales from the Pizzaplex books are canon. And so I think I speak on behalf of everyone when I say that Steelwool, please end this war. Please end this giant, blown out of proportion debate on whether the books are canon or not. Considering how toxic the fandom can get with this specific subject of the lore, I really do think it is best to get an answer, and it seems like with the title called Secret of the Mimic, we will finally be getting that answer. So if you are currently watching this and think that Tales from the Pizzaplex is in the same continuity as the FNAF games, well, may the best man win. And last but not least, at number 1, we have an early flat mode release. So far, all we've heard about this game is the VR part of it. We know that it will be both VR and non-VR, but so far, any gameplay that has been tested or shown off to the public has only been the VR version of it, which can be kind of concerning. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love VR, especially VR horror, because that definitely scares me the most out of any type of horror. I'm running, I don't give a fuck. But nonetheless, whenever they release this game, I really hope they release the flat mode version at the same time, because I feel like otherwise you are alienating a big part of the FNAF fandom who now have to sit and wait to play the game on their own just because they don't have a VR headset. I think it's fine for Steelwool to release specifically VR made FNAF games every once in a while and release the flat mode later, but considering that their latest game besides Secret of the Mimic is FNAF Help Wanted 2, a game that was specifically made for VR, I just would honestly feel kind of bad for anybody who wouldn't get to experience 2 new FNAF games in a row that are made specifically for VR first. But with that said, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to tap that subscribe button with your taint, and I will see y'all in the next video. Goodbye!